Hello again. Second part in our series talking about Decision Modeler and the Forrester Total Economic Impact for Decision Modeler. My name is Benjamin Baer. I'm the Vice President of Product Marketing at FICO.
I'm Fernando George. I'm Senior Director of Product Management at FICO, responsible for our decision tools.
So again, Fernando, we spoke in the last time about some of the use cases, but at the end of the day, using Decision Modeler and articulating your decision rules, I mean, what's really possible for a client of FICO?
Well, that's a great question, Benjamin, because what's possible? Well, you can use this approach in these products anywhere decisions are made, and really, all businesses make decisions. So this is applicable anywhere. But as I mentioned, most of our customers are in financial services, but we actually have quite a few examples in other areas. We have one customer who uses it to actually define the custom specification and steel structures, another to define, the crew that will actually be on a particular flight, another to, decide what questions they will ask you when you're checking into their hotel, and even if a formula in your shampoo is compliant with cosmetic legislation in different countries. So the possibilities, are truly endless.
So it does sound like a lot of people out there, consumers out there, are actually interacting with systems like this and these sets of rules and don't even know it.
Absolutely. I mean, this is in our lives. And as consumers, many times we are on the other end of this, with the decisions that are being made and that are targeted at us, and we so that these companies can define how they want to treat us. And frankly, our perception of many companies is based on those interactions. So when they're managing the decisions that they make with their customers, they're really shaping who they are as a company and the perceptions those customers have of those companies. I don't know if you remember, we actually did a presentation together on that a few years ago on a travel scenario.
I do remember that. Yeah, we talked about not only getting an offer in the mail, going online, going to the airport, getting on the airplane, going through security at the other end, booking a rental car,
Right.
Loyalty programs at the hotel. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, exactly. So all of those are, it was an example based all on real use cases of FICO products that are being used to manage everywhere from, when you get that offer from your credit card company saying that if you book a trip, say a ski trip, then you have a certain discount, to looking for a hotel and a flight online, going to the airport, boarding the plane, getting to your destination, renting a car, and checking into the hotel and get ready to enjoy your time skiing. All of that, we actually have use cases around, how to send those offers, decisions around which order to list the hotels, or what flights, the pricing for each one of those flights, the crew that's going to be on that flight, maybe even rules around when you're checking, going through passport control, when you are checking in at the airport, all of that, getting your rental and having that transaction checked for fraud to see if it's really you or not. All of that are real use cases and how this technology is used today.
So with that said, what are some of the most prominent, the 80% of use cases?
Right.
I think you mentioned financial services and insurance or regulated environments. Can you talk a little bit more about those?
Yes. So all of those that I mentioned before, they're fun, and we love them. But yes, a lot of the use cases, where there's a lot of value to use this technology, is really on decisions where there's a lot of some inherent uncertainty. So a lot of our use cases where this gets used is really related to credit risk, right? Things like who should you be pre-approved for a credit product and under which terms? What's the likelihood a customer will pay you back? What's the minimum amount of information needed to sufficiently de-risk an application and be able to offer a product? Do I have to go to a second bureau or not? Because there's a cost involved in that. how long does a customer need to be a customer for us to adjust those terms, right? How can I adjust the credit limits in order to impact utilization, right? I want them to spend more, for instance. What's the best medium to contact, a customer about an outstanding debt? Is it messages? Is it in-app notification? What's the best way? Or in to things like, is this transaction and when I'm getting a rental really from me? Well, there was a transaction just an hour ago in another location, but it was at the airport. So now I have a rental here. What's the likelihood that's really me or not? And making those decisions whether to block the transaction or not.
And how to respond to them, of course, if they are fraudulent. What do I do about it being fraudulent?
Yeah.
What about the cloud? We've talked an awful lot about these as tools, but I think it's truly revolutionary to move this kind of functionality to the cloud. What should customers know or look for in moving this kind of software capability to a cloud environment?
That's a great question, because really, when you start thinking of this as a decision as a service, as I like to call it, you start to see the big difference here. And it truly is, if we look across our cloud and on-prem customers, it truly comes down, I would say, to time to value, right? Our cloud customers, they can really focus on the initial set of decisions and very quickly get them up and running in production, right? Start making those decisions, start learning, and then iterate, right? Most of our customers use some sort of agile methodology. They're iterating and making those decisions more precise, making those decisions more aligned with their business objectives, trying out new ideas, so that speed, that quick time to value in the cloud is something that's, I would say, is the one I would highlight as the noticeably different from on-prem implementation, typical on-prem implementations. But actually, there's one more thing besides time to value that I would highlight, which is also that what we're finding is that it's much easier for companies in the cloud to then start using this approach. They start in one area, say they start in credit risk, and they find, oh, this would be, the guys in fraud risk would really like this as well, or the guys in collections would really like this. So starting to go to different areas of the business, different lines of businesses, or different areas of the organization, it's also, we're seeing that happen much quicker in the cloud as well. But when it comes to the Forrester Total Economic Impact, Benjamin, what exactly were the use cases that were used to create this composite organization that they use in the report?
Yeah. So as you mentioned, there's quite a diversity in use cases that we could track, and that causes problems or challenges in identifying the right metrics to track in a total economic impact type report or an ROI. So, the four organizations, which are anonymous, that were used as to create that aggregated or composite organization, three of them were large financial services. Actually, there was a medium size, two larger financial services organizations, and one was an auto lender. And the one common thread among them, of course, is loan approvals. The auto lender, of course, is looking to, lend money to organization or to people to buy automobiles, and the others are just, it could have been a home loan, could have been a credit card loan, and so we try to focused in on loan approvals because then we could come up with a consistent set of metrics and a consistent set of even the non-quantifiable metrics that impact the organization. So I don't want to go into any more detail than that, simply because I want you to download the report. But I think there's something there for any one of those use cases, a customer looking at any one of those use cases. There's value in the report to understand how and where it could impact their particular implementation.